You ever wonder what it would really feel like to set foot on another planet? Not in a sci-fi movie, not in a dream, but for real. Let's talk about Venus. Not the glowing dot in the sky, not the romantic twin of Earth you learned about in school, but the truth about what happens the second you land there. What if I told you, Venus doesn't just kill you. It melts you, crushes you, and then burns what's left, all while you're still conscious. Yeah, it's not just death. It's the most terrifying death the universe has to offer. And no one talks about it. Why? Because the full story is so disturbing it stays in your head long after the video ends. But you're not here for vague science class facts. You're here because something in the back of your mind needs to know. What really happens on that planet? What makes Venus the deadliest place in the solar system? Let me take you deeper. You and we're going to peel back every layer of mystery NASA doesn't put in textbooks. The pressure on Venus doesn't just weigh you down. It flattens you like a soda can under a hydraulic press. And the heat? It's not just hot. It's hotter than the surface of Mercury, even though Venus is farther from the sun. Sounds impossible, right? But that's just the start. The clouds above you aren't made of harmless fluff. They're thick with sulfuric acid, so corrosive it could eat through your bones. And the winds? They whip around the planet at faster than hurricane speeds, dragging that acid across. The sky's like a planet-sized sandblaster. You don't just die on Venus, you're erased. The air is poison, the sky is fire, the ground is a trap. It's almost like the planet wants to keep you there forever. And maybe it does. But here's the thing no one dares to say out loud. And this is where I need you to stay with me because it changes everything. There's a theory, buried in planetary research, that Venus didn't always look like this. Some scientists believe it once had oceans, clouds, maybe even life. Something happened, something catastrophic. And what if that something could happen here too? This isn't just about a faraway rock in space. This is about our fate, our future, and what it really means when a planet turns on its own life. So stay with me because by the end of this video, you're going to get the answer you came here for. The one that no one dares to speak, but you need to hear it. And once you do, you won't see Earth the same way again. The real question isn't how you die on Venus, it's why. And what if that same reason is already unfolding here on Earth? Venus was never supposed to be this way. Billions of years ago, scientists now believe it may have had blue skies, shallow seas, even drifting clouds that once mirrored our own. It was a twin of Earth, not just in size, but in potential. So what transformed it into this twisted, smothering furnace where metal melts like wax and air itself is a killer? That question haunted Dr. Alina Voss for most of her career, and it's the reason she disappeared from public view 3 years ago, after her last research broadcast sent shockwaves across the astrophysics community. She claimed she found something under Venus's cloud cover, something the space agencies didn't want to talk about. The footage was grainy, distorted by the planet's atmosphere, but what it showed was not natural. A pattern etched across the planet's upper cloud system, geometrically perfect, vast, pulsing. It was visible only in the ultraviolet spectrum and only for a moment before vanishing into the haze. People thought it was a glitch, a trick of radiation. But Alina didn't, and when she vanished, she left behind only fragments of her notes, encrypted files, and a growing network of colleagues too frightened to speak on record. One of those colleagues was Eric Dorn, a deep atmosphere drone pilot, who'd worked with Alina during Venus's last atmospheric mapping mission. Eric was never the same after that flight. He'd piloted hundreds of drones before, from the boiling skies of Io to the methane lakes of Titan. But what happened during that descent into Venus's upper clouds left him shaken in a way no one could reach. The drone had gone offline just seconds before atmospheric crush, standard protocol failure, or so it was logged. But Eric heard something. Not static, not interference, something that sounded like a rhythm, a pulse, mechanical, yet almost organic. He never told NASA, but he recorded it, played it back obsessively, frame by frame, until even he couldn't deny it wasn't just noise. It was a message, and it wasn't meant for us. But we'd heard it anyway. While the public focused on Mars, talking about terraforming and colonization, and the first civilian settlements, a silent Cold War was happening over Venus. Behind closed doors, private aerospace firms were investing billions into missions that made no sense, deploying signal collectors, infrared sweepers, and artificial intelligence scouts designed not to map the surface but to listen. One startup, Solus Frontier Systems, marketed its missions as data gathering for climate prediction models, but their technology was too specific, too targeted. They weren't trying to map storms, they were looking for something beneath them. And when a leaked test transmission from their Venus Orbiter project surfaced online for 12 minutes before being scrubbed from every platform, people started asking questions. The transmission, filtered through several layers of audio decay, revealed patterns, tones, not language, not music, but rhythm, like breathing. Long inhales, longer silences. The pattern never repeated, but it never stopped either. The clip ended before the third sequence could begin. That's where Kieran Goss comes in. Not a scientist, not a pilot, not affiliated with any agency. Kieran was a dark web codebreaker, someone who could extract secrets from firewalled black vaults with nothing but time and purpose. He wasn't interested in conspiracy theories. He just wanted to know what Venus was hiding. But when he decoded the third sequence of that transmission, months after it disappeared from public record, he found something buried deep in the spectral frequencies. Coordinates. Not Earth coordinates. Venusian, mapped across the lava plains, near Maxwell Montes. And then something stranger, under that, a numerical sequence that translated into a date, a future date. And it matched exactly with the next scheduled solar minimum. That's not random. Solar minimums disrupt planetary atmospheres, weaken magnetic shielding, expose systems to radiation. They also open strange atmospheric windows, gateways. And that's when Kieran realized something no one wanted to hear. Venus wasn't just reacting to the sun, it was waiting for it. The deeper Kieran went, the darker it got. He uncovered internal memos from international space agencies warning of resonance anomalies around Venus's mesosphere, pockets of gravity fluctuation that couldn't be explained. Instruments measuring the planet's atmospheric density kept returning inconsistent data, even when run in isolation. One probe sent to monitor pressure levels sent back corrupted logs, strings of numbers that, when run through basic linguistic matrices, formed repeated chilling phrases. Do not descend, it is not dead, and we are still listening. At first glance, they were dismissed as data glitches, but the phrasing was consistent, identical across completely separate devices and launches. That's not noise. That's intent. Meanwhile, down on Earth, strange things began happening to those studying Venus too closely. Psychological profiles of researchers working full-time on Venus data showed sharp increases in sleep disorders, intrusive thoughts, and audio hallucinations. One psychologist assigned to monitor Solus Frontier's team flagged that over 80% of their staff reported hearing whispers while reviewing atmospheric compression data. Whispers that weren't in any language they recognized, but that felt understood. One even claimed the voices knew their name. The connection seemed impossible, but the pattern was undeniable. The longer you stared into Venus, the more it stared back. But here's what most people still don't understand. Venus isn't hostile by accident. Its atmosphere isn't just dangerous, it's protective. Like a wall. A living fortress meant to keep something in, or keep us out. There's an old myth in multiple cultures. Stories about a second sun. A bright sister that betrayed its light and was cast out, forced to burn forever behind a mask of storms. That myth exists on different continents, from Mesopotamia to the Mayans, and every version ends the same way, with a warning. The day she speaks again, the sky will fall. Nobody ever connected those myths to Venus. Until now. The narrative begins to expand from here. Eric begins working in secret with Kieran, exchanging encrypted communications, leaking restricted orbital data, and reprocessing thermal scans to reveal what they think might be artificial structures hidden beneath the carbon dioxide clouds. They don't know what they're looking at yet, but it's not volcanic. The geometry is too perfect. Hexagonal chambers aligned in fractal spirals, vanishing into shadow. And near the largest of these formations, pressure readings spike beyond known thresholds, as if something is breathing, not mechanically, biologically. All the while, Dr. Alina Voss, long believed to be missing, reemerges in whispers from an abandoned outpost in Siberia. A rogue satellite, redirected by a hand-built code she authored, begins broadcasting a signal no one can trace. The pattern is similar to the one Eric heard during the drone descent, only this time it's louder, clearer. It doesn't ask for help. It doesn't threaten. It says one thing over and over in modulating pulses: remember us. The question that haunts everyone watching these transmissions isn't just who sent it, it's who is us. And then, one night, Eric receives a final file from an old flight recorder thought destroyed in Venus's lower atmosphere. Inside, grainy footage, just 4 seconds long. But it's enough. The camera pans across a fractured piece of landscape, unmistakably, Venusian veiled in golden haze, and captures, just before the lens melts, a towering object rising in the distance. Not a mountain, not a geological formation. It has angles, symmetry, and the last frame, blurred and boiling, shows something. Impossible. A shape moving, upright, watching. Everything we thought we knew about Venus has been wrong. The burning clouds, the crushing pressure, the acid rains. They're not just natural phenomena. They're symptoms, defense mechanisms. And the closer we get to uncovering what lies beneath them, the more unstable they become. Every new launch suffers interference. Every probe descends faster. Every signal sent takes longer to return, if it returns at all. The planet doesn't want to be seen, not because it's lifeless, but because something there remembers us. And it's waking up, slowly, and as the solar minimum draws near, as the date encoded in that transmission closes in, all signs point to a single truth. Whatever happened on Venus once before might be about to happen again. But this time the sky won't burn there. It'll burn here, unless someone figures out the final piece of the message. The piece Alina found. The one Eric's risking everything to decode. The one that might explain what Venus really is. But he's running out of time. And so are we. Venus had always been a silent enigma, but now the silence was fracturing into a roar that only the brave, or the desperate, could hear. After Eric received the final drone footage, everything spiraled. The shape moving in the A. Molten haze was no natural formation. It was alive, or at least it was something. A construct or entity whose existence rewrote what humanity thought about life beyond Earth. The calculated hexagonal structures spread like a network across the plains below the suffocating clouds, and with each new data packet, the truth seemed more impossible to grasp. Kieran's decryptions revealed that these formations emitted pulses synchronized to Venus's rotation, a rhythm too precise for random geology, but too alien to classify as anything terrestrial. This discovery ignited a global frenzy within underground, scientific communities and dark web channels, stirring debates that blurred the line between science and conspiracy. The agencies that had kept Venus missions under strict wraps now found their authority slipping, as whistleblowers leaked classified files showing a secret operation named Project Helios. The project's stated mission was to harvest energy from Venus's harsh environment, but the real objective was far darker: penetrate the planet's defenses and awaken the source of the atmospheric anomalies. No one understood what that source was, but all agreed it was powerful enough to rewrite the rules of survival on Earth. Meanwhile, Dr. Alina Voss, presumed lost, began transmitting messages intermittently through hacked satellites. Her voice was calm yet cryptic, referencing the guardians beneath the acid veil, and warning that the fires that burn on Venus will not stay there. These words haunted Eric, who grappled with the reality that Alina had crossed some threshold. He was yet to understand. He followed her transmissions obsessively, decoding symbolic references that aligned with ancient myths from forgotten civilizations, myths that had long spoken of a celestial guardian trapped beneath a burning sky, waiting for its chains to break. Yet the real shock came when Kieran uncovered data suggesting that the rhythmic signals were not just a call or a beacon, but a form of communication, an invitation. The date embedded in the coordinates matched the upcoming solar minimum, a time when Venus's atmospheric shield would weaken, and something buried beneath the clouds would try to reach out. The implications were chilling. This was not a passive event. Venus was preparing to respond. Tensions on Earth escalated. Governments debated whether to intervene or withdraw from all Venus operations. Public interest exploded as social media exploded with hashtags like Larn Venus Mystery, Larn Burning Sister, and Venus Signal trending worldwide. Scientific forums buzzed with theories ranging from microbial life thriving in the clouds to sophisticated alien machinery long dormant, now awakening. Yet among all the noise, a quiet but ominous pattern emerged. Several researchers who had engaged directly with the transmissions began to experience disturbing symptoms. Intense migraines, vivid nightmares of fire and shadow, and a growing sense of being watched. The psychological strain was not just a coincidence. It was as if the signals reached beyond data and touched the mind itself. Eric found himself drawn into a deeper connection with Alina's messages, which began to feel less like warnings and more like a plea. Her last transmission hinted at a secret buried beneath Venus's surface that could either save humanity or doom it. But the files were incomplete, fragmented, and protected by encryption far beyond any known algorithm. To crack it, Eric enlisted help from an unlikely ally, Marla, a linguist specializing in ancient codes and semiotics, who had her own reasons for unraveling the mystery. Marla believed that the patterns in the signals echoed a lost proto-language, shared by early human civilizations and possibly something older, extraterrestrial even. Their collaboration sparked a breakthrough. The pulses were layered with meaning, combining mathematical constants with mythic symbolism, suggesting Venus was not just a planet but a message itself. As the solar minimum approached, strange phenomena began manifesting worldwide. Unexplained electromagnetic surges disrupted satellites, compasses spun wildly, and deep underground detectors picked up bursts of low-frequency resonance matching the Venusian signals. It felt as though Venus was reaching through space, touching the very fabric of Earth's magnetic field. Governments scrambled to maintain order amid rising fears, while independent scientists pushed for urgent missions to collect more data, fearing time was running out. Then came the unexpected twist, an intercepted transmission from Solus Frontier. Systems revealed their own clandestine operation. A probe had been sent far deeper into Venus's atmosphere than publicly disclosed, designed to deploy a device codenamed Echo. Echo was engineered to interact with the planet's atmospheric phenomena, ostensibly to harvest energy, but its true function was far more invasive. It was a signal disruptor. The probe's purpose was to silence the mysterious pulses, to shut down whatever Venus was trying to communicate. But according to the leaked logs, Echo had triggered a catastrophic feedback loop, amplifying the atmospheric reactions exponentially. This unintentional sabotage might have turned the planet from a silent guardian into an active threat. As the feedback grew, Venus's atmosphere became increasingly unstable, with violent electrical storms and expanding vortexes visible even from Earth-based telescopes. The planet's heat signature fluctuated wildly, hinting at unknown energy releases beneath the surface. The clock was ticking. The solar minimum, once thought a distant point on the calendar, was now days away. And with it came the risk of Venus's awakening, an event that could send shockwaves through the solar system and directly impact Earth. The stakes couldn't be higher. Humanity stood at the precipice of a cosmic enigma far beyond the reach of any single nation or agency. The burning skies of Venus were no longer just a mystery to be solved. They were a threat to be understood, contained, or confronted. And as Eric, Kieran, Marla, and the shadowed figure of Alina raced against time to decipher the final piece of the puzzle. One chilling question remained. What happens when a planet that burns with fire also burns with memory? The final days before. The solar minimum unfolded like the closing act of a cosmic drama. Every new data transmission, every flicker on the monitors, carried with it an unbearable weight of inevitability. The atmosphere of Venus, once a distant curiosity, had become a living, breathing entity, one whose secrets now threatened not just scientific understanding, but the very safety of Earth. Eric stood at the helm of this unraveling mystery, his mind a battlefield between hope and dread. The files, the intercepted signals, Alina's cryptic warnings, all pointed toward one unavoidable truth. Venus was not merely a planet engulfed in clouds of sulfuric acid and crushing pressure. It was a sentinel, a memory vessel, a prison for something far older than humanity's reach. The signals weren't just calls, they were echoes of a presence beneath the surface, something that had watched over the solar system for eons, bound by forces beyond human comprehension. As the solar minimum dawned, the planet's atmosphere shimmered with unnatural light, electric storms cascading in patterns too deliberate to be random. Kieran's decryptions combined with Marla's linguistic breakthroughs revealed a layered message within the pulses, a plea and a warning intertwined. The essence of Venus was tied to a powerful consciousness, one that had once tried to forge harmony among the worlds but was now fractured, desperate and unstable. Echo, the probe designed to silence the signal, had inadvertently fractured the delicate balance, awakening dormant energies that began to spill into space like a wave of cosmic radiation. Earth satellites faltered, and geomagnetic storms battered power grids worldwide, a grim reminder that what happened on Venus would ripple through every facet of life on this planet. In the heart of this turmoil, Eric and Marla devised a daring plan. They believed the key to pacifying Venus lay not in shutting down the signals but in responding to them. Through the data, they pieced together a way to send a counter-signal, one crafted with the mathematical precision of the ancient codes and the emotional resonance embedded in the proto-language. This was no mere transmission. It was a bridge, a way to reach the consciousness that dwelled beneath the burning clouds and convince it to cease its destructive awakening. The challenge was monumental, and the margin for error non-existent. Failure meant unleashing an unstoppable force. Success meant restoring a fragile cosmic order. As the counter-signal was prepared for launch, the unexpected occurred. Alina's voice came through one final time, clearer and more urgent than ever. She revealed her own journey had led her to a hidden cavern beneath Venus's surface, a vast chamber pulsing with an eerie light, where the guardian consciousness was imprisoned in a crystalline prison forged from pure energy and ancient technology. This entity had once been a protector of life, a cosmic shepherd of balance, but betrayal by its own kind had bound it in eternal torment, fueling the planet's hostile environment. Alina's transmissions were her attempts to communicate with the Guardian, to convince it that Earth's intentions were not hostile, but filled with hope. With the countdown ticking, Eric, Marla, and Kieran coordinated with the global network, sending the carefully coded signal hurtling toward Venus's atmosphere. As the message penetrated the thick clouds, the planet responded, not with destruction, but with a moment of silence so profound it seemed to hold the breath of the universe itself. Then, the atmosphere shifted. The violent storms began to calm. The electrical surges softened, and for the first time, a faint glow of blue light shimmered through the clouds, signaling a thaw in the planetary rage. The Guardian had heard them, yet the story was far from over. In the aftermath, data streams revealed an extraordinary phenomenon. The crystalline prison was dissolving, releasing the consciousness trapped for millennia. But instead of an ominous entity bent on revenge, it emerged as an ancient intelligence, a being of immense wisdom and empathy, burdened by pain, yet eager for redemption. The Guardian shared visions of the cosmic balance, the fragile threads, connecting all life and the consequences of human arrogance in awakening forces best left undisturbed. In a final twist no one expected, the Guardian offered a choice: share its knowledge and power to advance humanity beyond war and scarcity, or retreat into silence once more, allowing the planet to return to its volatile solitude. The decision fell not to governments or scientists, but to the collective human will broadcast across the globe through a new form of connection inspired by the Guardian's own nature, a digital consciousness linking minds in empathy and understanding. Earth embraced this unprecedented union. The story's true message crystallized. Survival was not just about technology or conquest, but about recognizing the interconnectedness of all existence and the responsibility it entailed. Venus, once a burning enigma, became a symbol of hope and renewal, a reminder that even in the harshest conditions, the spark of life and wisdom could endure. This tale leaves us pondering not just how a planet can burn, but how the fires of fear and misunderstanding can be transformed into light and unity. It's a story about resilience, the power of communication, and the profound mysteries that await us in the stars, urging us to look beyond ourselves with courage and compassion. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories of inner strength and resilience. Until next time, stay strong, stay brave, and never forget your worth.